All right. Then if you've noticed your schedule, there's actually not a break at this point because we're only going about another 20 minutes or so, and it involves a game. And so, like I said, I know I'm a little tiny bit rusty on my skills here, but I did remember how to get to the Pear Deck start lesson. So I'm going to crack that open now. We can stay in practice mode if I remember right. And we've got to do the instructor paced activity, and that will get us here. And so, okay, I'll grant permission, yada, yada, you. Oh, good Lord. Continue. Sorry. This should be it. Oh, fine. Whatever. My tech guy will probably kill me now. Here we go. Yeah, okay. And there we go. And I do remember how this looks. My question that some of you all might be able to help me out there. Once people get into the Pear Deck, I do believe then the screen sharing doesn't need to be done anymore, right? I think I can. Everybody will get a Pear Deck window.
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
Probably the quickest way is to give students a link that everybody can click on.
All right, got it. So if I do this and then I go to the chat, yes? Let's go to the chat and let's go to everyone in the meeting and let's drop that link. Will that do? And then start the class. Hoping that this is all working. And while I'm still sharing the screen, while people get in, maybe we can click through some of the stuff that we do need to be a little fast now in order to make sure we're done for lunch on time. This little game here is actually a purely online version of a classroom activity that we have. And the purely online version and the classroom activity are entirely different from each other. So this is just a whole nother way to give the same lesson. When we're done with this online version, we'll also be quickly explaining the in-class version, which involves students crossing the room or going down the hall. There we go. Yeah, for somebody like Tracy, this is going to be the big thing, right? Exactly. But if you're in class, it involves people crossing your room or going down your hallway using poker chips balanced on their arms. And if you're wondering how that might connect to all this, well, let's blast right in really quickly. So the Oklahoma land rush, of course, is one of the classic examples of first come, first serve being the rationing method that if you are an econ teacher, when you get to the rationing methods, we can auction things, we can do first come, first serve, we can have competitions, all the rest, and we say price also serves a rationing function. Well, if it was all first come, first serve, here's one of the biggest examples. What we're going to be looking at is the land rush of 1893. It was not the only one. It was actually the third in a series. And this actual land rush that took place had 42,000 plots of land and more than double that amount of people who were seeking them. So the Sooners, like Oklahoma University nickname, that's like originally started as something pejorative. People who got out there into the land rush area before the starting gun. You were essentially a cheater by doing that. And if anybody's ready to tell us a little bit about a movie maybe we could bring into our classroom, hold on. That's the big finish to the game that we're going to be suggesting. So to move through this as quickly as we can, we have here kind of this original document of some of the plots that are actually being involved here. This is the township system that's set up all the way out there. And of course, the one thing that everybody thinks they know about the Oklahoma land rush is that the land was free. Notice the quotation marks that any economist would put around. Giving it away. Notice the quotation marks that any economist would put around these expressions. Economists are always pushing back on the four-letter word that starts with F, free, by using the old expression, there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as a free trip to Cancun. There is no such thing as a free anything, because there's always an opportunity cost. So what your goal is going to be in this game is to get the deed for one of the lots of land that's going to be in the game. There will be 6 of them, and it says one of the remaining lots here on the screen, because there might be some of those 6 plots of land that are already going to be claimed before you get there, and you'll be out of luck. The way you're going to claim a plot of land is by putting as many of your resources as possible on it. So, the way this is going to work, we're trying to simulate 5 families, and notice in the parentheses with the asterisk, it says of 5. In your breakout room, you're probably not going to have 5 people. The number that we have today doesn't really match the number that was registered, and even then, we weren't going to have exactly 5 people per room. But you're going to be role-playing a family that has 5 members. So if you are assigned to one of the rooms that belongs to the Hart family, get it? The Hart family. Well, you're going to pick up the symbols in the pair deck that are the hearts, and you are entitled to exactly 5 of them. So if you only have 3 people in your breakout room, when we give you your breakout room to make your plan for what is your strategy going to be, well, you're going to have to make sure you know which people are going to double up and move 2 hearts, and which people are only going to have a single. If people move 6 or 7 or 8 hearts, we're going to disqualify that team. And if you only move 3 or 4 hearts, well, you're making it hard to have the most resources on any particular square. So this key right here, you're going to be role-playing 5 people in the family. That means you are entitled to 5 of every shape, whichever family you get assigned to. And so all of these are little jokes, right? Sailor and star and carpenter and fisher. That's, if you know your family name, you know what symbol you're going to be moving. So the 5 families here will be racing around for an unclaimed plot of land. There's going to be 6 total. And the symbols are the bags of resources. So as you pick up a symbol and drag it, you are basically carrying your resources to where we go. And this is integral to the big finish of the game. Because when people talk about the Oklahoma land rush, people were coming from all over. And so you were bringing lots of resources with you if you had actually picked up your family and moved. And even if you were somebody who was just going out to see if you could get a plot of land first, travel back then required you to bring a lot of your resources with you along the way. You still had to live the whole time that you got there. So the map is going to look like this. And so here's the example of how somebody might be distributing their resources. This team here would be disqualified because they put 7 on the map and nobody's entitled to 7, but they're just trying to show you like what this will look like. There'll be squares 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and your family is going to need to make a strategy. In your breakout room, you're going to talk about, well, what do you think is smarter, to go big on one particular number, maybe spread around? What numbers do you think people might choose over other numbers, or whatever else? It is your choice as a family to decide how are you going to distribute your 5 symbols that you're allowed to have for your family. Then, once the round is over, we will uncover which of the plots of land may have already been claimed. And if there is a flag on the number that your family chose to put some resources on, what it means is somebody got there first and those resources are lost. You can only get an unclaimed plot of land, and the way you get the unclaimed plot of land is by having the most resources on it. So if a family piles all 5 in on one number and that number is claimed, you get nothing, because right here it says it has to be an unclaimed plot. But if a family only has 3 resources on it and another family only has 1 on it, well, then the one that has the most resources wins and the other does not because they didn't hit the most. And in the case of a tie, we'll do odds or evens to break the rule on that. Since I think I can probably stop sharing now, what we're going to do is use just this handy dandy app that I use with the students every once in a while. It's just a roll of the die, random thing that's done by this app. You roll it and it gives you a die roll, and we're just going to say odds or evens. We're going to let one family call odd, one family call even, and then we'll just roll the die, and whichever one that is, that's the way we decide who's going to win in these particular cases. So anything that's left on a plot that you didn't win, those are also lost as well. As soon as we say go in the game, and just so you know, when we break you to the breakout rooms and come back, that's not going to be the real round first. There is a practice round where we can say, okay, everybody, we've opened up this screen. Pick up a symbol, place it somewhere, make sure you're comfortable with how you do this. That'll all just be for practice. And you're not going to want to give away your team's strategy when you do that, right? You're just getting comfortable with the process. Because once we get to the real screen, and there'll be a screen that says, yes, this is really for keeps. As soon as I click to the screen, I'm going to count down out loud. 10, 9, 8, 7, there's only 10 seconds. And then I lock the screen, and when the screen is locked, that's it, we're done. Now, there are going to be 2 sets of families so that you can see how this happens twice. But every set of families only gets to play once. So make sure you know you only get 1 shot at a land plot. We're going to give you 5 minutes, it says, to strategize. We are running close to lunch, so we're going to try to maybe even be a little faster. Debbie, what do we think? Do we have the Sailor A and Sailor B and Heart A and Heart B breakout rooms ready to go?
Yes.
All right. Then make sure you pay attention to the room name of what you're assigned. You're going to need to remember, are you Sailor A, Sailor B? Are you Fisher A, Fisher B? Let's go out to the breakout rooms and make a strategy for how you want to distribute your 5 symbols. Go. Are we? I think that number down at the bottom of the screen makes it look like we're all back. It was a teeny tiny bit shorter than we thought, but than we said, but it's getting to be lunchtime and we know how people are about lunch. So if I've got this all right in the pair deck that everybody can look at without the sharing of the screen, we're just going to practice, and everybody's practicing all at once. We just want you to go, are you comfortable with using the bottom of that screen to pick up a heart, pick up a star, pick up a house, and move it around. Everybody in both the A and the B groups, if you want to get in there and get your practice so that you know how to do it during go time, go ahead. Is there something else that I need to do? I can see the bar at the bottom of mine. Everybody?
When I click on one at the bottom, it brings over the sailboat from the side. Are we picking up the side ones or the bottom ones?
It could be. I only see them on the bottom, but yeah, if you have a sidebar, try that one.
Well, when I click on the bottom, it brings the sailboat from the side over.
Well, that should be fine, but I'm not seeing any movement. Is there? So is everybody seeing a screen right now that says Oklahoma Land Rush Family Practice Time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I click on the fish, it doesn't duplicate. It's just the fish and I can move it, but it doesn't give me the option of a multiple cloner.
It doesn't, huh?
No.
Okay.
And
Same here.
if you click on the icons at the bottom, they do not work.
Okay. Then is there anybody who knows? Is there something I'm doing wrong, or is this just not? Is there something I can do to kickstart this? Because I see that there's been 28 responses, which is great, but there's no responses showing up on the screen. Is there anybody out there who knows, is this actually like my fault? I'm doing something wrong?
It almost seems like the Pear Deck needed to have a multiple cloner that would allow you to multiply clone each of the icons, because right now it looks like it's set to just one each.
Okay, fair enough. But even if it's that, I can't see any at all. Can any of you?
I just moved a fish. I'm moving it all around, so I don't know why it's not showing on your side.
And I've moved all 5 of mine on numbers.
Okay, then how about this, everybody? With real humble apologies, it is lunchtime. I think you can see where this is going, right? Let's go. I'm really sorry that you're not able to do it, but you can. We'll all figure out how to make this work with students later on. What you're going to do is give them the practice time. Is everybody seeing the Oklahoma Land Rush on your marks screen right now? That's what you'll show the kids. You'll open it up. You'll back count from 10. They'll all drop the resources. And then you lock the screen and you go, okay, there it all is. I'm really sorry that something's going on here that you're not doing it yourselves. What's built in next is once you lock the screen, you show them this screen right here. And this screen shows, sorry, if you went for number 4, you're out. If you went for number 5, you're out. If you went for number 3, you're out. Those were already claimed. And so anybody who put resources on those, well, you just lost them. So you're only looking at 1 and 2 and 6. You're just counting how many did they put on them. And then if there's any even numbers, you do any way you do to break the tie. It could be the random die roll. It could be 1, 2, 3, shoot. It could be however you want. Because the economic lesson here is in the debrief. And in the debrief, what you're trying to get to is the idea that those resources that you lost along the way, that is the cost of the land. Yes, exactly. No, cool. All right. Anyway, the whole point is that when we say there's no such thing as free land, okay, they didn't pay a particular price to get that land. they didn't pay a charge, but any resources that were lost along the way. And so if, this is just not going well. If you know this movie here, this comes from Far and Away, where they recreated the Oklahoma land rush, and they really did make a real effort to be as historic as possible. They actually have a journal entry from somebody who was there talking about the guy who took off before the cannon, if you've seen this movie, and the soldiers were authorized to shoot him, and they did. That's actually from a diary entry of somebody who was there. And in this movie scene, in the movie Far and Away, that's also part of the virtual guide too, you see all these people and all their resources in these wagons who, because they're racing so fast, stuff is falling out of the wagons are tipping over, and all of those resources that you're losing along the way. Well, that actually is the cost of the land. And so the general idea here is talking to kids about how this is the opportunity cost that went with it. These are the things that you gave up to participate in the land rush. And so even if you were one of the lucky ones, it wasn't free. You gave up all that time, energy, and resources to get there. And if you were one of the unlucky ones, you gave all that up with zero return. And so there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as a free trip to Cancun. And there is no such thing as a free plot of land. So because it's lunchtime, I'm going to take a little time later this afternoon in our big game to describe the in-class version of what you do with the poker chips so that we're not eating into lunch. I will stay right here for 5-10 minutes. Robert said he'll try to answer questions later today as well. So why don't we say, depending on your time zone, we're talking 2:25, 1:25, 12:25, or 11:25. Let's be back from lunch at 25 after the hour for Robert and the Great Depression.